Welcome back from the kitchen. Now, Daily Graphic starts this morning and says, stop campaign rhetoric and fix unemployment challenges. TUC tells political parties. The story is captured on the front page of that paper. Daily Guide says, EC rejects 30 MPs, snubs Kunedu. We're told that's the decision of the EC, asking them to go to court if they want to. The Daily Statesman, tale of two countries, Ghana to build 180-mile gas pipeline at $500 million. America builds $570 million pipeline at $1.2 billion. That's the story on the Daily Statesman this morning. It comes with a photograph of Dr. George Sipayanki, the chief executive of the Ghana Gas Company. The Ghanaian Times, 24 aspirants disqualified from contesting parliamentary seats in Ashanti region were told that they could not pay for the nomination fees. 10,000 cities. So 24 of them have dropped out of the race. The BNFT says Bank of Ghana woos banks to agri financing. The story is captured on page 3. 100 million cedi guarantee is given for the banks that want to go into agri financing. The Ghanaian Observer says election 2016 is about your future. Akufo-Addo advises students. He is smiling on the Observer. And the General Telegraph talks about the Indum fight EC with 18 lawyers, and Speaker scolds MPs for poor attendance. That's the General Telegraph. The Finder talks about elections in danger because of some over 2 million weapons we're told are in wrongful hands. To my left is the NPP National Nasra Coordinator, Kamaldeen Abdullahi. Good morning.
Good morning, Bright.
I hope you're doing great.
I'm terrific.
All right.
Doing very well.
Welcome to our studios this morning.
Thank you.
It's a Friday. Thanks so much for joining us. And then to my right is the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry and Member of Parliament for the Nanton constituency, Comrade Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing great too.
It's okay. He refused to attend my campaign.
He didn't tell
even though it took place in his hometown.
Oh.
Yet Dr. Bawumia went there the next day and it was a disaster.
Oh. But perhaps
it was a disaster.
Sure
when he went, he virtually was begging the people to vote for the MPP, and then they told him they could not because they've seen tremendous improvement. You know, Bawumia means the meaning of the name. Bawumia, they have heard.
Okay.
And the response of my conscience to him was that Babu, they haven't heard. So they refused to listen to him. They refused to listen to him. In fact, so wherever you go in Nanton conscience, it is Babu. Right. If you say they have heard, they haven't heard.
But comment, perhaps you should have asked him to your campaign launch.
No, we don't do that. In fact, it was a disaster, people? And I challenged him to put a call to Babu after the program and find out from him whether he was disappointed what he saw there or he wasn't.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Go on.
On a comic relief to start with this morning. I actually think that the Deputy Minister knows very well that that seat is actually
it's gone
off him.
Oh, okay.
Right, you know one interesting thing.
He knows.
Right.
The people of Nanton constituency, Zao, where he launched his campaign, that I was told, and I was monitoring.
So he didn't attend?
Well, I did. Why should I attend? You see, I don't want to associate myself with failures. The point is that if I'm a failure, why do I have to associate myself with you? So, you see, the people are aware that our MP is not up to the task. Is not performing. And
okay, so you have
make
the
sure
I have even
that
videos.
they show him the exit.
Okay.
They will show him
watch
the exit.
videos.
Yeah, they will show him the exit.
Right. But you know,
you don't do
very
Photoshop
briefly.
and come and be
No,
showing.
it's not. I mean, your station was there, and you can shame me or shame me. As a matter of fact,
but his opponent.
What happened there when Babu went there? In fact, when Babu went there, it was a disaster.
So
you know, 2012.
You can't even talk.
You know what, Bright? 2012. It's important I make this statement. 2012.
Why have you run away from Zhang and
Dr.
now moving
Bawumia,
to
Dr.
Long?
Why? I launched my
Why have you run away from Zhang?
I launched my campaign.
I thought you said you...
No, I launched my campaign in Zhang in 2012.
He's completely lost it in Zhang.
Okay,
where he comes from, actually.
Right.
Where he comes, he's lost it completely.
Right, it's important I made it. I launched my campaign in 2012 in Zhang.
And
in fact, when His Excellency the President came, we had a rally in Tamping, we had one in Zhang, we had a stopover in Nantong. So it never made sense that you leave the other ward. By the way, in 2012, Bawumia visited my constituency, I believe more than any constituency in Northern Region, the extent to which a day before the elections, he was in my hometown, supervised and financed the recitation of the Holy Quran. Allah rejected him, rejected his flag bearer.
4 days more to go.
The election.
And trust me, the Honorable Minister or Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, and indeed the MP for Nantong is going to be out of Parliament.
All right.
I'm sure.
All right. Let's jump to the Daily Statesman this morning. This story.
There's a magic jug around Nantong.
Ghana to build 180-mile gas pipeline on $500, pardon me. The story says that the NPP's biggest charge against President Mahama is that he used too much money and achieved far less. They cite the fact that $39 billion in real terms have been borrowed since 2009, but the NDC can only account for 18% of that being used for infrastructure development. Incidentally, according to the paper, President Mahama cites infrastructure as his flagship achievement. Now, the opposition sees inflated cost of projects as its greatest failure, with its attendant problems of job losses, rising indebtedness, and that disequilibrium in the economy. The statement says that it has unearthed the latest of these inflated deals. The chief executive of Ghana Gas, Dr. George Sipa Ajah Yankee, recently committed Ghana to building a 180-mile gas pipeline from Abuazi to Tema at a cost of $500 million. Now, this means we're paying $2.8 million for every mile of pipeline constructed. Meanwhile, the U.S. is building a similar 570-mile gas pipeline from its mid-continent to the Texas Gulf Coast at $1.2 billion. The paper is suggesting that if America is building a mile of pipeline at $211,000, Ghana is doing that 10 times the cost. And it goes on to cite other projects that they think have been inflated. They are saying that even roads, kilometers of roads, when they built it, cost more than what the NDC is doing now. They are saying $1.4 million for a kilometer of road. Meanwhile, in Africa, it's $600,000. These are the issues the statement is raising. Kamadi, let me come to you. For the NPP, the biggest charge is that too much money and yet very little to boast of.
Very, very, very interesting. I guess it's important we put this in perspective. To whom much is given, much is indeed expected. That is the principle. Now, if this government says that we have expanded the economy, we have made that much money, we have been able to ensure that we've bagged in over 200 billion Ghana cedis in terms of revenue, domestic, external, whatever, then of course you expect that the infrastructure development, which they believe that it is their flagship achievement, indeed is something that you can write home about. But is that the case? I'll tell you, strictly going by the content of what they claim they have even done for us with this money that we've gotten, you realize that quantifying it in terms of the revenue that they have gotten and in terms of the revenue that they have used for these infrastructure, as it were, projects, you realize that it's woefully, the variation is woefully huge.
That's according to the NPP.
Clearly, of course, it's not just according to the NPP. That is what it's in the ground. That's what it is on the ground. You see, if you have taken your green book and the deputy minister here, look at all the projects that you have in the green book, and you realize that even therein, the projects, the green book, the projects they have, is not actually up to $8 billion. And you have bagged in far more than $8 billion. Clearly, it tells you that the monies that you have gotten have actually landed on some wrong hands, or you have actually used a lot to go down the drain. Let me give you an example. If you're telling us, and that's a story you want us to look at, before I come to this, that you go to the University of Ghana, there's some 600-bed hospital there being built, and the cost of that project is $30 million. That is what the NDC government and the deputy minister sitting here wants us to believe. $30 million. Then you come to Ridge and tell us, under your own auspices, you are refurbishing a hospital which was 200 beds now to 420 beds, and the cost is completely far more than the new building that is supposed to cost $30 million. Right. Then we ask the question. Renovating a hospital that will cost much and building a brand new hospital which will cost less, where is the prudence? Put that aside. Go to Kumasi Airport. The deputy minister sits here and wants the whole world to agree that they have turned Kumasi Airport into an international airport. That's the way they call it. But after they have gone to put in aeronautic lights on the runway, then you come to tell me we have changed the whole entire airport to an international standard. Okay, if it's an international standard and it's going to cost $23 million, Bright, I hope you are listening to me.
I'm listening.
And Ghanaians are listening to us. $23 million. Then if you go into their achievements once again, they take you to Volta region and tell you a brand new airport to be constructed in the Volta region will cost $25 million. Where's the sense? You are renovating a runway of an airport in Kumasi for $23 million and more. And you are building an entirely new airport in the Volta region for $25 million. Economically unwise. It means clearly that, of course, some chop has gone in to what you did in Kumasi. That's clearly what it means. You go to Ethiopia.
By your logic, that is what it means.
It's not just by my logic. It's by the logic of many. Right. And it will be by your logic.
Yes, I'm asking because you don't even have the evidence to say that because the airport causes amount of money, it's not economically prudent.
It's so simple. I am going to acquire land and construct an airport from zero to finish. It's going to cost me $25 million. I have an airport sitting there. Problem is that there's a challenge of aeronautic lights because as a result of that, planes cannot land in the night. That was the argument they sought to espouse. Now, if planes cannot land in the night, you've gone to put in aeronautic lights. You've gone to ensure that the runway is solidly constructed. Then the next moment you tell me that cost $23 million.
You know the project and you say just not lights and the runway. There were other components.
These are the major projects they did there. The major one was to put aeronautic lights and make sure that the runway was okay, expanded. And just how many kilometers is the runway? Less than 7 kilometers? Less than 7 kilometers, and that costed you $23 million. I have not seen a new structure there. I know the Kumasi Airport. I've used it many times. The old structure that is there is still there. Then you have been able to use $23 million, but you are going to build a brand new airport for $25 million. Now go to Ethiopia. Ethiopia built a brand new standard international airport for $21 million. So when we talk about they inflating contracts, they overpricing contracts, they milking us of our hard-earned resources, they getting the money and not putting the money right, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. MTN goes to build a school. Same cost, same architecture, same design, everything, and the cost of MTN juxtapose that to the cost of what government has done, which is over $5 billion, and MTN is running around $2 billion. Where is the extra $3 billion going? These are the points we're raising. So if you then come here, now back to your story, talk about constructing 180-mile gas pipeline, which is going to cost us $500 million. Then you juxtapose that to what the US, the United States have done, about almost, about,
you mean the
just juxtapose that. Look at what the US did. 570 miles. And the cost is $1.2 billion. Does it make sense? Does that make sense?
We shouldn't look at the two different countries. Perhaps
Perhaps
I'm told that in construction, it is not just what you see. A lot of things go into it. The topography of the area and all that. We should not look at that and just say that. But because the cost is higher there, it means that there's something wrong.
You see, if I have given you series of examples before I even got here.
No, but even the school that you're talking about, I mean, if I'm building a house in Accra, the same one room in Accra and one room in Nanton, your constituency, they will cost different.
Interesting. And you're going to have a very huge gap like that?
Well, it depends on.
You're going to have a very huge gap.
I'm told by construction
Why would they cause
expert that the topography of the area.
The argument will be that maybe some materials that you need to construct the single room in Nanton would not be found in the northern part, so you would have to buy it down south and then maybe sell it. So element of cost in terms of transport.
Exactly, that's
what I'm talking about. That'll be the argument. And I'm looking at the gap, the huge variation. If we're talking about, yes, it makes sense in, say, Amasaman, for me to construct a single room in Amasaman because of proximity to raw materials or to the materials needed. Of course, I'm going to have, say, 100,000 Ghana cedis, example, okay, or 10,000 Ghana cedis. Let's even use 10,000. Then, of course, I'm transporting materials to Nanton constituency, where he is, okay, to construct the same single room. Of course, there will be difference, but the difference will be simple. Transportation. And how much will that cost? Let us make sure that we are within the reach of wise expenders. If we are within the realm of wise expenders, Ghanaians will not say that you are dissipating our resources, our hard-earned resources. As we said today, my good brother would agree with me. The number of corrupt practices that we can cite under their watch.
The allegations.
Why? Allegations made by who? By they themselves. Why? The last time I checked, my good brother was part of those who dragged Wayomi to court. He was part. We didn't allege. Where were you sitting? Where were you? Why this show of incompetence and doling out our money to someone? Next moment you go around and say, I'm taking him to court. When in fact you are going to have your party program, they see the man sitting down with you and chit-chatting with you and enjoying. Who are you deceiving? Ghanaians?
But so if somebody's alleged to have done something wrong, it means that I can't talk to the person?
Oh, I have not said you can't talk to the person. You see, we have told you ab initio. In fact, not just we. Their former Attorney General, Martin Amidu, told us that clearly the commitment to prosecute to ensure that the monies that has been doled out wrongfully to someone to milk Ghana is not there. Their own element told us that. Okay. So I am saying that if these things are there for us to cite as examples, then people on the street, common one is crying. The money is not there. Macro instability is staring us in the face. Today, as we speak, corporate taxes are so high. Today, as we speak, in 2001, my brother will agree with me, we came an interest rate, which is supposed to be a booster for investors in this economy, was around 52%. We made sure that we brought it down prudently to 25% before we exit office. Okay, these people have not been able to do that.
Come on, then I'm grateful.
To land. 25% when you gave them. Investors are crying now because they've taken it from 25% now to 36% interest rate. You can't do business. It's unfriendly.
I'm grateful. Unfriendly, that's according to...
It is. The environment is unfriendly. Very unfriendly. Right. Unfriendly.
Comrade, so the MPP's biggest challenge is that these projects, even though they think that you have done them, the cost simply show that you're not making prudent use of our resources.
Well, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers, most especially the people of Nanton consensus, and permit me to use the opportunity also to thank everybody for the unprecedented turnout that we observed in Nanton. For me, it challenges me to do more. It challenges the government to do more. I can't also say anything without thanking the chiefs of the area who were in full attendance, and opinion leaders, and specifically the other MPP defectors, community leaders who defected. And I can mention names and communities, and he can check who defected to NDC, simply because the NDC has done tremendously well, and their member of parliament has brought something that eluded the MPP for 8 years. I think that is one of the grabbiest stories peddled by the tabloids. I mean, Statement is a tabloid, as a matter of fact. And people must be very careful the kind of stories they peddled out there. And I will not give, in fact, I will not bet a dime on a story that is published by Statesman. Simple journalistic and ethics of the profession demands that when you have a story, check and cross-check, or check and double-check. The story hasn't told us the position of government on this outrageous story and the factors that border into it. By the way, I'm a development planner by profession, and I have some appreciation as to what constitutes planning, what constitutes infrastructure development. So I think that they would have been fair and decent if they had given us the other side of the story. There's one thing, and they are noted for that. I mean, this is a story probably was written in the balcony of Nanado, because we know who owns the paper. And they have a history of peddling such falsehood. They write stories. They don't have the decency to retract even when the facts or the truth is glaring. They won't apologize. They don't have the decency to. I think that is a story that we should have just thrown to the gutters. Be it as it may, we have to discuss it. I can understand the desperation in my brother's voice, the extent to which he even said, I hope you are listening to me. When we were actually glaring at him, we were looking at him. He was not too sure whether you were listening to him. He was not too sure whether the viewing public were actually listening to him. It tells you something. As a psychology student, it tells you that he had a doubt in his unconscious mind as to what he was saying. And that clearly demonstrates that. I think that the MPP lies is embedded in their psyche and their way of life. And going against lies is like fighting a monstrous wave without a life jacket. So they simply cannot go against that. And you see, there's a proverb in the Ban, you know the meaning? That if the chief comes home with a weird haircut, what do you expect his subjects to do? They will come with tapiaju and other haircuts. And clearly, you have the flag bearer of the NPP who lied in his 32 tweets, I believe they are up, who lied. The government of Ghana spent $10 million to publish diaries. Lied. $10 million. You have the running mate of the NPP in the person of Babuwum, who said that we had several names, foreign names, in our voter register. As we see today, they are yet to provide it. And they secretly wrote to the Electoral Commission that they were not interested in that story again, because they think that Ghanaians are so gullible. Let me tell you, Ghanaians are very wise. Ghanaians are very smart. Ghanaians know what your legacy is. You've had the opportunity to rule this country for 8 years, and what you left was a complete mess. Just yesterday, Nanado peddled same lies when he said, even in the eyes of projections by international financial institutions, that our economy is not going to grow, that our economy is going to fall and fall and fall. When consistently, between 2014, 15, 16, there has been positive growth. So probably maybe if you want to find out those who do not read, then you should be looking for Nanado. As a matter of fact, one wonder how we're going to have a thorough and fair discussion on a story that is not only lopsided, a story that is absolutely one-sided. It is amazing. I feel that if you want to publish a story, because I just saw the story when I came in, it drew my attention. Now, what am I going to say about a story that is the one-sided, that doesn't even respect the basic ethics of the profession, the journalistic profession? But by the way, he was ranting and vaunting on issues of loans. Remember, when the NDC touted what we have done, they held a press conference. And the same Babuwum made those outrageous statements emphatically. He said that the NDC have borrowed so much, and there is nothing to show to the monies that we have borrowed. When we launched the Green Book and indicated the kind of things we have done, unlike the So Far So Good, where they had Monkey Sanctuary as an achievement, the So Far So Good, where you people have Kentucky Tegwe statue as your achievement, the So Far So Good, where you put things that were outrageous as your achievement. When we launched the Green Book, your people were completely dazed. They were in an absolute state of incommunicado, and the only response they could garner and force to hide their shame and disgracefulness, they said, yes, the projects are there, but the cost is too high. That was the second response.
The cost not too high?
Yes, I'm coming. When they said initially there is nothing to show to it. Now, when we launched the Green Book, they then said, no, the cost is too high. So the narrative was completely changed, 360 degrees. That, oh yes, you have those projects, but the cost is so high. Now, when we began indicating to them, comparing the kind of cost expended in the execution of those projects and those they did, you know their response? The narrative shifted again. Oh no, Ghanaians are not interested in roads. By the way, I don't know whether he's their campaign manager, Ajaku, one of the, in fact, I will get the name. He just stood and said that the circle interchange and the Kaso interchange are useless. That is not the people of this country are interested in. Something like Jacob Abuaji, something. He was former governor of the Bank of Washington. I mean, he's in the MPP, whether he leads your campaign team or not. And then he made that statement. He's a leading member of the party. Now, we have indicated the kind of things we have done, and I'm not going to take him anywhere. I'm going to take him through his own backyard. He lives in Nanton constituency. He is from Northern region. And I want him to be very sincere, not with me, not with you, not with the viewing public, because they have never been sincere. He should be sincere to his conscience. That hasn't he seen the massive infrastructure development that goes around you? If you take Banyamli, which he knows very well, in the constituency he belongs. When we sat here the other time, he said, no, the road is under construction. The bridges have completed. This is something that found its way in every single budget they presented. He is well aware that the road from Savulugu to Zogu is tarred. This is something that eluded your government. He is well aware that the Tamale Teaching Hospital has been completed and in an effective use. The other one is being rehabilitated. He is well aware. He is well aware that there are hospitals that are built. He is well aware there are clinics that are provided. He is well aware that there are roads, the Eastern Corridor Road, the road from Zabzugu getting to Gushagu and from Gushagu coming to his constituency. He is well aware. He is well aware the massive infrastructure development.
Yet now you sit here about the cost of the project.
I am saying that they have repeatedly changed the narrative. They have repeated as and when it suits them. And like I said, lies is embedded in their psyche. It's embedded in their minds. And so going against lies is like fighting a monstrous wave without a life jacket. In fact, a monstrous wave that has shackles and sharks and waves in them. That is what they are doing. They have the only truth they know as a party is lies. And they think that they can deceive the people of this country and giving them the mandate. I think that it is important that the people in this country, particularly journalists, we begin analyzing the kind of stories that they have peddled out there. We begin questioning how they are going to fix those things. Now, he is talking about statements made by leading members of the NDC. By the way, the last time I checked, Mr. Martin Amidu is not a member of NDC. The last time I checked. And by the way,
he has left the party.
Granted that he hasn't left. Granted that he's still a member of the NDC.
He's left the party?
Please, I'm saying that granted that he hasn't left.
He's not a member of
the party. Yes, granted that he hasn't left. Granted that he's still a member of the NDC. And I want to go by your logic. So every single statement Martin Amidu makes is absolute truth. Accepted. Every single statement Haruna Seku made about the seat of the presidency, where bribes were brought, is absolutely true. Every single statement made by your former secretary that there was a committee and Nanado and Co. dipped their hands and took monies that belonged to the party is absolutely true. Every single statement made by your chairman who was suspended illegally is absolutely true. Every single statement made by your secretary who was absolutely and unjustifiably, suspended is absolutely true. Every single statement made against your party, Mr. Nyaho Tamakula and Co., every single statement. You know why? He will tell me that those statements are not true. Right. He will tell me and tell you that those statements are not true as long as it doesn't suit them. I want to go by that logic that yes, the statement Martina Midu made, let's agree without admission that yes, it's true. Then let's also begin to agree with every single statement made by members of your party who have demonstrated that there is no accountability in your party, who have demonstrated that a secret account was open where Nanado, your flag bearer, dipped his hands into those accounts and took money. You sit here and then you talk about accountability.
Just a minute on this. First of all, it is interesting when a deputy minister comes to sit here and, of course, look us in the face, sitting in this studio, look people in the face, those viewing us, and lie. And lie, that's the word. You see, and also not just lying, but ensure that he reduces your entire editorial board in terms of this production.
How?
To nothing. Why? He says that you people have no eyes to even realize that the Statesman newspaper is a tabloid.
Oh, no.
No, that's interpretation. Oh, please, I am interpreting what he said.
Okay,
I am interpreting what he said.
Okay,
and see, and it's dangerous. We sit here, every single newspaper that lies before you for us to review the stories therein, okay, is deemed to be a credible newspaper.
He thinks it's a tabloid.
No, it's deemed to be a credible newspaper.
Right.
The deputy minister sits here and call a newspaper a tabloid.
It is a tabloid.
Of course. And insinuating clearly that your editorial board that seems to do that this program is completely not even on top of issues.
Okay,
now let's move on. I'm going ahead. You see, the deputy minister goes ahead to say that he's thanking the constituents of Nantong, okay, of which I'm part, that for what he calls a success or a successful launch.
To the issue.
I'm of course. He's lied. That's why I prefix my response.
That
I prefix
your narrative changes anytime you see that the party is indeed bringing development, and then you find another way of saying that the development is there, but
right. I know. I'll come to that.
We don't have all the.
I prefixed my submission with the fact that he lied, or saying that he lied because the man sits here and tells that he can mention names of defectees. He can mention names of defectees. When in actual fact, the last time I checked in our constituency, not a single person had defected from MPP to NDC. That's not true. Now, you see, what we have to know is that the Ghanaians who are watching us are concerned about the fact that paying school fees is difficult, jobs are lacking. The Ghanaians out there knows that indeed today, cost of doing business in this country is so high. The Ghanaians know the cost of living in itself is so high. These are the issues we ought to be addressing on this particular platform. Now, if we sit here and then in the hands of the incompetent John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, all these things are happening, and you depart from your incompetence, or telling us that you are sorry for actually visiting the management of this country with incompetence, only for you to say that Nanado stood somewhere and lied. It's very interesting. Look, it is clear. If a president of the Republic of Ghana, in an attempt to respond to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, on our campaign launch, says that he doesn't even know the cost of what? The redenomination exercise that they undertook. When in fact, matters or documents had been handed over to you when you were voted for. Why? The Paul Akwa, the then governor of the Bank of Ghana, had caused to hold a press conference, state how much the entire project cost, okay, which is clear and is public knowledge. On the 7th of November 2007, this press conference was held by Paul Akwa. Then only for my president.
That information is there.
Clear.
It's at the Bank of
Ghana. And only for my president and his president.
Okay.
As a result of ineptness, come to stand and say, I don't even know how much it costs, then I should be worried. I should be worried that we are dealing with an entirely incompetent, okay, who is not on top of issues, who doesn't understand. Okay. No wonder we are where we are.
Kamal,
we should be addressing this issue. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Very incompetent.
As a matter of fact, you see, these guys, they have tagged every single government incompetent except
including yourself. Including yourself.
Maybe he is not interested in reading the political history of Ghana. One of the accusations of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's administration and the reasons for the illegal criminal justification of the overthrow of Nkrumah was that they said he was incompetent. They said Achampong was incompetent. They said Rawlings was incompetent.
We are not saying it.
They said
Hilal
Liman was incompetent.
We are not saying it.
They said President Mahama is incompetent.
He's shown he's incompetent. He doesn't even know.
You know, there is nothing more incompetent than someone who a united party was handed over to him, and he dissipated and destroyed the party. There is nothing more incompetent. There is nothing more incompetent than someone who a ruling government indeed contested an election, and his fortunes keeps dwindling. Every single elections Nanado contested in, the fortunes of the MPP kept dwindling. There is nothing more incompetent than someone who indeed did not even know. We sit here today, just today, the NPP is not even aware. Their flag bearer goes to places and make outrageous statements only for him to turn around and change them. You can tag us incompetent as a means of winning elections. The people in your village, in my village, you know why? You know why they would vote? You know why they would vote President Mahama? But he said, I can mention you names. Let me mention names. Let me mention the names to him. I will mention the names to him. Look, Zokwa, there is someone, your former chairman in San Go. I will mention names.
Let's move on to
former chairman. That's not a name.
You will not allow me. I'll mention the names.
All right. Now, Daily Graphic is suggesting that stop campaign rhetoric and fix unemployment challenges. Yeah. TUC is telling political parties. Now, the TUC has challenged parties to come up with strategies to address unemployment instead of mere electioneering promises to tackle the problem. Chairman of the TUC, Reverend Richard K. Yabua, said unemployment is a problem that is well recognized across the political divide, but it has received scanty attention beyond electioneering rhetoric. For the TUC, political parties will be measured on how they deliver their promises on employment after they win the elections. That's the story. Comrade, let me start with you. For the NDC, what is the next level of effort at creating employment after 2012, in case you win the election?
Inshallah, we will win the elections. I have no doubt in mind it's going to be one touch. I have no doubt in mind that we're going to have the majority in parliament. You know why? Right. If you take a rotten meat to the market to sell, accompany the rotten meat with the best musician in Ghana, people will go to the market center, they will listen to the music, they will probably dance to the tune, but your rotten meat is your rotten meat. They won't buy. The NPP have taken rotten meat to the market, so they must make noise. There's a saying in
their message is rotten?
Absolutely rotten. There's a saying that if you sell cocoa, you know cocoa, and the cocoa is not good, what you do is say, kuye cocoa. If you go to northern Ghana, where the cocoa is not good, the woman would have to be shouting on top of the roof so for people to know that there is cocoa here. But the woman who sells the good cocoa, even when she is sleeping, they will knock at the door to buy the cocoa. And that is just a replica of what the NPP engages in.
Is that why you're sleeping?
We have always admitted that there are challenges. And at any point in time, the good things and the difference between the NDC and the NPP, whereas we are doing everything possible to create jobs. And in fact, the TUC in their statement have indicated the number of jobs that were created. And I don't think they are speaking for government. Now, under the NPP in their manifesto, they said that they were going to create jobs for every single young person in this country who was looking for jobs. Not a single job was created. Maybe Ghanaians, they think Ghanaians have forgotten. Young people in this country were asked to line up on the streets of the cities and big towns under the scorching sun. Names were written. Not a single job was created. And when they demanded the jobs, you know what their then Deputy Minister for Information told them? He said that those crying should go and eat konkonte. You know what the president himself, please. I
thought you were going to tell me.
It's important.
Because of time.
Yes. President Kufuor said those who were complaining were lazy. The NDC government hasn't said that. We have always admitted that there are challenges, as there will always be challenges. And His Excellency the President said, look, these are the kinds of jobs that we are creating. This statement was not made by Honorable Okujeto, where they will come out and rubbish. This statement is coming from TUC, indicated the number of jobs that have been created. Now, if you look at the Ministry of Trade, where I am very comfortable to talk about the kind of jobs that we have created. Under the Rural Enterprise Development Program, we have assisted a lot of small and medium-scale enterprises at the rural areas, giving them financial assistance, empowering them, giving them training, and a lot of them are creating jobs. I do also know that under NBSSI, there have been a lot of assistance, technical and financial assistance, given to young people who want to engage in surge, productivity, entrepreneurship. Jobs have been created. I can also tell you the year program.
You have a figure.
Yes, I'm coming. I can also tell you. Well, if I give you figures today, but we can go with the figures provided by even TUC themselves.
Right.
The year's program, you know the kind of jobs that have been created as a result. But let me also point out that in all these challenges, youth employment program is now in full swing. And we do know the number of jobs that have been created in terms of the security, in terms of the health, in terms of other youth in fire service, youth in that. A lot of jobs have been created. Let me tell you one other significant thing. As part of government vision, NPP in their manifesto, they said they are going to scrap taxes on imported drugs. I mean, the most outrageous and outlandish policy decision or campaign message or manifesto message I've ever seen.
Right.
Because you have pharmaceutical companies in Ghana who produce drugs that are certified by the WHO, and those drugs meet international standards. The challenge of those companies have always been they don't have enough capital to expand, to produce enough to feed the domestic market and export. What a visionary government under the President Mahama has done is to give direct financial assistance to selected pharmaceutical companies. And I can tell you, they are doing tremendously well. A lot of them are expanding. They are creating more jobs. They are increasing their productivity. And that is the way to go. But if you say that I'm going to scrap import, anybody can bring in, yet you turn around and claim that you are going to help domestic industries. This is absolutely disastrous. But let me also point out to him, the NDC in terms of sector by sector, you realize the kind of argument. Part of creating the jobs is to expand training institutions, training teacher colleges. I am a trained teacher by profession with pride. The training teacher colleges, if you look at the number of the admissions, it has quadrupled. Now, how do you increase a lot of students? And when you increase and produce more teachers, you are creating a lot of jobs. You are increasing the human resource base of your country. Now, you came out because of political expediency. Sadly, you said, no, if I come back, I'm going to restore training teacher allowances. By the way, we did set A. The teacher training colleges are doing diploma.
Oh, so you are not
Hold on.
it.
Right.
You are not restoring the allowances.
You say?
With all respect.
I am saying, please, I'm coming. I'm making a point.
You are not restoring it now.
Can I make my point? I listen to you.
Okay.
We have expanded. And you know the number of jobs that have been created? Because if you were taking, let's say, 1,500 students to the training colleges, it means that in the next 3 years, you have 1,500, all things being equal, 1,500 teachers coming out. You are creating jobs, building the human resource base of the country. Now,
by taking out the allowance.
I'm coming. If you increase that number from 1,500, I'm just giving a raw figure, by 1,500, assuming we have 1,500 you admitted, when you didn't expand and increase the number of students who will get to the teacher training colleges, it means that in the next 3 years, you have 1,500 students coming out of the teacher training colleges, trained as teachers, giving them skills, empowering them, and giving them jobs. Now, if you increase it to 10,000, what it means is that you have created additional 8,500 jobs. Okay. We are talking about feasibility. Let them tell us.
Right, I'm not sure.
Let them tell us and the cost of the so-called outlandish, outrageous, what do they call it? Policy decisions they have in their manifesto. Okay. They simply cannot attach cost.
Right. I see. All right.
The word rhetoric could not have been used. It's an apt word to be used by the Reverend Yeboah. Point is that the deputy minister sitting now, okay, is completely pointing to all of us that indeed the rhetoric used here is what they are embarking on. You know what has informed us? What has informed, and I believe what has informed the statement by Reverend Richard Yeboah,
right.
Okay, chairman of the TUC, is because the government in power today told us that they were going to build 10 training colleges in their manifesto in 2012. Not a single one is built. The same government has come again with a new manifesto telling us that they've reduced from 10 to 4 now training colleges.
How many?
Rhetorics. No, please, rhetorics. It's because today as we sit, the government of the day tells us that trainee students or training college students or trainees at the training colleges your allowances will not be paid today, it will not be paid tomorrow, even if it will cost us the election. That is the President of the Republic of Ghana speaking.
Because they said they want to open access.
Right. The next moment, his minister comes to sit on radio and tell us that, yes, they wanted to ensure that some quota is met. Okay? And they did not actually know that they needed to get a law that would allow them to scrap these allowances before putting measures in place to ensure that they expand, admissions at the training colleges. Therefore, the president is rescinding his decision not to restore the to restore the allowances. That's Omani Boama. The president went to Brong Ahafo and told us, after telling us that they would not pay these allowances, and told us that, look, these allowances will be paid or will be restored again. My good brother sits here and tells us that we in our manifesto say we are going to ensure that trained teachers' allowances would actually be restored, and that it is outrageous. You don't have to say this, but do you have a plan to increase? Wait a minute, it doesn't matter. They can tell us that allowances has actually been scrapped. We won't pay. The next moment, they can come and they have the audacity to tell us that we are going to restore these allowances. Who is embarking on what we call political expediency?
I'll tell you why.
Who is embarking on political expediency?
I was going to ask you this even before I put the question, because the suggestion is that, well, because the law isn't there to allow these students to access the student's loan for now, let them get the allowance. Exactly. When the law is
in the position,
let's argue from that point.
Excellent.
Okay.
Then what then informed the scrapping of those allowances in the first place? Right. What informed it? So only for you to come back and tell us again that you want to restore the allowances. If you are talking about incompetence and ineptness, if this is not incompetent, what it is?
Let me put that
what is this? No, I'm not. I think he had the whole day.
Yeah, please, he's just answering that question.
He cannot answer with this question.
Take my time. No, give him my time.
He has nothing to say. The president himself, look, they have actually been confused on this.
Because I wanted to ask him that.
Why are you restoring this?
I wanted to ask him that. I mean, it means that proper thinking was not done before the decision to withdraw the allowances were made.
These are two distinct areas. Why? Government has a vision. Haven't been a government ever in the history of this country. The only government that can be compared with what President Mahama has done in terms of education. I'm answering. I am answering. I'm saying that in terms of infrastructure development in the area of education, look, government has done unprecedented what any government has done except Nkrumah. And I'm saying that there are two distinct areas. You are expanding infrastructure, you are increasing the numbers. It's completely different from allowances. Now, if the Minister of Communication, who speaks for government, comes out, remember the president when they asked him, and the president said, if it means, the president said, if it means taking a decision that will lose it, I will. It doesn't mean, listen, I'm coming. Oh, please. The president, he never even swindled like you guys do. He said that if it means losing elections, the NDC maintained that it's a decision that we would take. It's a decision that we would take. Of course, you take these decisions within the ambit of laws and regulations. Okay. So it never means that the position exactly. It never means that the position was changed.
Right.
Okay. But by the way, do you remember Chachu against the state? Incompetence.
We'll come back to you, Deputy Minister. We'll come back to you.
You and who?
Deputy Minister, we'll come back to you. You see, Bright, clearly, he could not give us an answer why they, in the first place, they took or they denied these.
He has just
they denied. They
didn't know they needed a law to deal with that.
They didn't have the law to deal with what? Scrapping the allowances.
And getting the students onto the student loan trust.
So simple question is not answered. Why then did you deny this?
Okay, so draw your conclusion.
And why are you coming back with the allowance? Now to move on. Your man talks about jobs. That they have created jobs, they have done this, they have done, and all those stories, all those rhetorics. Now, it's simple. Is that a question? Is it a case that in this country we've witnessed trained nurses, trained teachers, who hitherto after completion, they will be posted straight, to at least be engaged in the health sector or be engaged in the teaching sector? Is that the case? Yes. But we witnessed situations where they had cause to march to the Ministry of Employment, seeking for jobs.
You know why?
Demonstrating.
You know why?
Yet you come and sit here and
why?
tell us that CHIPS compounds are littered all over the country. Health posts have been built all over the country. And nurses cannot be posted. This is a common fact. Deputy Minister, if you tell me you have created jobs, please get jobs for these people who are unemployed and who are supposed to be employed. Fill in your CHIPS compound that you claim you have built. Deputy Minister, teachers who have finished training colleges are not getting jobs. As we said today, the youth employment program that we brought about, which actually gave him a job. Okay, we gave him a job by our positive thinking.
Who gave me a job?
By thinking for the forward march of Ghana, we instituted a plan to ensure that the youth of this country are actually given a respected job.
How is the NPP working to fix this rhetoric he talks about?
You should go through the 18 chapters of the entire 18 chapters of our manifesto.
It talks about
the strong economic matters. Talks about how we are going to ensure that agri sector. Look chapter 4, the agri sector, for instance, where he's saying that we should not even take away import duties on machinery that will come to help mechanize our agri sector.
He said
I heard him taking that. He was against me taking taxes away. He's against completely reducing taxes or taking taxes. And I'm saying that. Wait a minute. I'm saying that we have stated clearly in our manifesto that indeed machinery or equipment or implements that will come to help mechanize our agri sector indeed would actually be devoid of taxes. We will make sure taxes will not be imposed on this, to make sure that subsidies are well introduced to ensure that agri sector, which employs over 90% of the inhabitants of the northern part of Ghana, which he knows and I know, is given a boost. That's a fact. Almost everybody in the north, in fact, his constituency, about 90% of his constituents are farmers. I am telling you the truth. Maybe he doesn't even know. And we are saying that, look, these subsidies that we had that sensitivity. Okay, we are sensitive to the plight of people, and we made sure when we're in government. He was asking me, he said we left the economy in Chaked or in shambles when they came. And let me tell you, that's not true. From 2001 to 2008, we succeeded, and I gave you the first example when we talked about interest rate. That alone is enough to tell you that we ensure that investment was actually giving a boost. Today, the subsidies for farmers, where President Kufuor gave these farmers some amount of, subsidy to ensure that fertilizer is bought less than the price. Half of it was paid by government. These people came and took it out.
You sat here and said, but
they came in and said that we don't need it, and that we don't deserve it. They took it away, and we are suffering. We are saying that when we come back, those subsidies would actually be put back. Deputy Minister, I tell you that when it comes to jobs, you people you've never been consistent. Okudotta Blacko some time back came out with what we call the Green Book. I don't know why that thing vanished into oblivion.
Oh, it's still
after
there.
The Green Book.
Oh, it's still there.
After that one, he told us some 1.6 million,
which was a fact,
jobs were created.
Yes.
Only for them to come back in their original Green Book again. I'm sure that one was a fake one, and another one, and refused to state that for a fact that it was about 1.6 million jobs created. They refused to state it. It wasn't there. Go and check it. So for us, you can continue lying. Okay. The Ghanaians are watching us. Everybody knows what you are up to. And people have actually seen your mode of governance, and they are not happy. They passed vote of no confidence in you already. No wonder the president will move.
I thought they were waiting for the same answer.
Why? Did you watch the video? The president was somewhere in Fadama, and people were telling him, yes, it's same. They are literally tired.
These are things that happen in the election. I'm sure if the NDC goes to the Ashanti region, suddenly you will see
the Ashanti region. This is Greater Accra.
And I'm saying
this is Fadama, Greater Accra. A typical Zongo community.
To the Volta region, you will see the same thing.
I know why the Zongo community are actually not happy with them. And they have to tell the president it's the same. Zongo community, Fadama, you know Fadama.
Right.
That is where he was. And I tell you, the Zongo community, after taking our manifesto and looking at our manifesto clearly, and of course, looking at the provisions, the promise that we have told them that they should hold us to it, that we have made for the Zongos, where he actually belongs, and I belong. Trust me, my brother, they will tell you when they take the NDC manifesto, there is nothing for us. Okay. The only thing they have for them, you know what they have for them? Go and take page 28 of their manifesto. It tells you that they are going to lump the Zongos under into the lip program where we are going to enjoy some 30 cedis a month. It's insulting. It's insulting.
Right. Okay.
That's what they are going to tell us.
Let's wrap up.
They had in their manifesto that they were going to turn all chop bars to restaurants.
We are talking about current.
I'm looking at your track. I'm looking at your track. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at your track.
Deputy Minister.
Oh, please.
Talk about this.
I listen to you. Can you also listen to me? I'm looking at your track record. You know why?
Look.
What they did at Kunkumpe. Everybody knows. That was where the president went and they were doing
where
that. You know what it demonstrated? It demonstrated high level of tolerance. What? In 2012 elections, spearheaded by the most violent political leader in the history of Africa, Nana Addo.
No.
I'm giving the reason.
I'm
giving when he sat here and said things about President Mahama, you said that
President Mahama.
I thought you tell me it's my opinion. I thought you tell me. Please. Why? International security experts have declared him. Well, can I please? I will still make my point.
You can make this statement.
I will still make my point. Please, I will still make my point.
But I think you can
make your point.
You see, Bright. But they sit here. He sat here and made outrageous statement. I am making a statement of fact. And I'll tell you, security experts, international security have declared. But by the way, if you are feeling uncomfortable with it, in 2012, there's another deception. In 2012, when we won the election squarely and fairly, the MPP didn't just rush to court. They gathered at Circle. And then they issued threats upon threats. A gentleman who had President Mahama, please, can I finish? A gentleman who had President Mahama's poster. A gentleman who had President Mahama's poster on it. The car was vandalized. When he was driving with his children in the car, the video is available. But you see, what you guys
Come in. The NPP actually set a team.
Please,
that went to
can I finish? Please, no, I don't care. It was Bright. Let me make my point. Bright, you are not here. You are not here to tell me what they did. I am telling you what they did with your station. TV3 carried the story.
Yes, and
so can I finish? I'm not talking about a journalist. No. Oh, I'm coming. Please, I am not talking about what they came to say. They want to reposition and rebrand Nana Addo. It won't wash. Okay. I'm saying that they didn't just go to court. Right, can I make this point? He made it. Right, you are right. Oh, right. Can I make my point? Right. Oh, why? When you talk about those things, are they on your table? But by the way, we won an elections fairly and squarely. Now, President Mahama went to a place which is predominantly NPP.
That's not true. These are elections of Ghana. These are elections of Ghana.
The NPP leadership must be very, very careful. We control this country than you. We won in more regions than you. We are more populated than you. If we want to do that to Nana Addo, he can campaign. He can campaign. But let me tell you, Bright. Let me make this point. It tells you the level of tolerance.
You are losing your elections. You are very much unpopular now. And the people say, yes, the same. They are all out there yearning for
everybody
change.
Knows him to be a violent leader in Ghana.
All out there yearning for change.
All die.
Abdullah is the NPP national coordinator.
Right, we should save this country from this incompetence.
No, a violent leader. We should save this when he said president against Chachi, attorney general, president against Chachi.
We should save this country from this incompetence, this inept nature.
What is more incompetent than president against Chachi? Attorney general. What is more incompetent than that?
Is a trade and deputy minister, yes, and a member for Nanton. It's also going again. Kamadin is
he's my conscience, actually.
And I'm telling you the exit. I'm telling you this time. How do you all the way?
He'll be the worst performing MP.
I'm grateful. All right.